Hey you! What's good? How was school for you? Did you get bullied? Or did you do the bullying yourself? Or was your school time peaceful and happy? I was bullied in many clever ways, and today I will talk about it. I will revisit my greatest standoffs and my most horrific defeats. This video is going to be a long one because I need to get it right. It will be epic. Let's get it. The reason for me making this video isn't to pour my heart out to the internet, to cleanse my emotional palate. It's because other humans seem to be in a constant state of paralyzing amnesia, or their lack of understanding pisses me off. So a few days ago I saw an article in Facebook that talked about bullying at schools. Not only was the article pure shit, but the comments down below were just pure diarrhea. Some wrote that computer games are to blame. Some wrote that violent movies are the root cause. I puked a little into my mouth and realized that boomers truly roam the land of Facebook. But back to the article itself. What really made my blood boil was that the experts hired to tackle this issue don't seem to understand why children beat up other children. They don't seem to remember school hierarchy at all. Everyone is wondering, how can children do this and that? Why are everyone doing this? I remember my childhood vividly. I remember every thought, every feeling. I remember my every fight and the reason behind it. I 100% understand why I was bullied, and I also remember why I sometimes deserved my fair share of hate. Was there anything to stop this? Yes and no. Children are mean to each other. It's a process of learning. They're kind of pushing the boundaries of what they can get away with. Every time I did something shitty when I was 5 or 6, I knew exactly that I could just play dumb and blame others and get away with it. I mean, it wasn't science. I was self-aware like humans ought to be. Doing something and getting the reaction you weren't expecting or you didn't see coming teached you an invaluable lesson. Socializing in any form at school grounds was a learning experience. Fear, anxiety, adrenaline. It was all necessary. Some come out stronger, some stay repressed or even depressed, maybe for the rest of their life, if they don't process things correctly. But skipping all this experience
creates pussies.
Now I'm not talking about womanly genitalia, I'm talking about weak men who grow up and get their feelings hurt when someone doesn't address them with a proper pronoun. So what is the purpose of school? Isn't it to prepare you for the adulthood? 70% of everything you learn at school, you will never use in real life. When did you last use Pythagoras? A square plus b square equals c square? But the social experience is priceless. Being an adult is horrible. It's difficult. It's painful, it's agonizing at times, and the sooner you learn that, the better. So how was getting bullied at school for me? Well, let's start at the easiest things, I think. At that time, it was very common to have people standing in a row on each side of the corridor. Whoever went by got pushed and bounced between those walls. So whenever you needed to cross this section and you saw people standing, you tried to avoid it. Wait for the bell or do a huge circle from outside to use another door. For me, it was just easier to wait for the teacher and cross the section then. This was called Põrkatanav, or a bouncy street in English. Then there was a period where they put your school bag between the window and the frame, so 99% of the bag dangled outside. When you tried to open the window, the bag fell, and you needed to go outside to claim it. It was from 3rd floor or something usually. So it was a dilemma. Should I do the shameful walk before the class and be late, or drop it after the class and not use your books and notebooks? Sometimes when you went outside, you needed to grab your other things that were left on the table, or they got thrown outside when you came back with your bag. When you were picking up stuff before the class, you also had to deal with spitting. So when you tried to grab the bag outside, everyone bullying you spat on you, or at least tried to. So there were a lot of benefits getting the bag later. Now speaking of spitting, this was a common thing, but we had a classmate who was held down, and some bullies opened his mouth, tried to kind of get it open and spit in there, but getting spit on your school bag was a daily thing, I think. Some people used straws and spat saliva-soaked paper balls through it. I can still feel the cold, moist splats in the back of my neck. And then there was the famous chair tilting, where the bully was behind you at the class. The usual thing for him was to aggressively shake the backrest of your chair until you either fell off off or wiggle like a worm so everyone could laugh. Over the years, I developed a foolproof method that if you lean forward with your elbows on the table, then the chair became empty and there wasn't that much amusement. Then there was the toilet period, where several people held your head and tried to dip it into the toilet bowl. That never happened to me, luckily, but I got several things thrown in the toilet. In regards to physical violence, like beating, I had about 6 or 7 these encounters. A few of those were like a shorter, slimmer guy than me, trying to hit me in the face with his leg, doing the Chuck Norris, move, with a twist, tornado kick, or I don't know what was it called. He never actually got his leg that high to hit my face, but it got close a couple of times. Usually it grazed this part here. I tried not to attack back that often, because first, I was afraid, and secondly, every time I did something, I was the one getting in trouble. Like 100% of the times. Only I got into trouble. I had this teacher named Enemäär in Rahumäe Elementary School. Rahumäe, ironically meaning a peaceful hill. But this teacher got me detention every time I did something. Or I got a note in my diary. Or they called my mother. Every freaking time. So I could say whatever I wanted. I could do whatever I wanted. The outcome was the same. So I really didn't have any proper way to play it. There wasn't justice. It was risky on both sides. Let me get some water. All this physical violence is making me thirsty. But there were several times I attacked back. I was a scrawny kid, very, very, very slim. Only 2 bones and a piece of rag. But when I got angry, I hit back with everything I had. It was life or death at that time. At least that was how I felt. I sometimes locked the bully's head between my elbow, holding him down, hitting his back or sides. I kept him in a lock until we were separated by a teacher or someone else. I never got a black eye, and I'm really proud of that. One time there was an altercation in the school's canteen, and I stabbed a kid with a fork. It actually got stuck. When he tried to fight back, I broke his little finger. It can truly go all the way here, even if you're not flexible. But he had it coming. He threw food at me while I was eating. I overreacted, I know, but it was the same kid who tried to hit my face with his leg. So yeah, I snapped sometimes. Now my own bullying. I did a fair share of that too. I sometimes gave a reason for a bully to pick on me by verbally yelling profanities from the distance and then running to my class, marinating through the whole lesson to see what will happen afterwards. I also lived close to the school, so I could always yell stupid things and then run to my home and lock the door. But there are so many regrets as well. To be honest, I had several friends who I lost because I turned into a bully by joining the beat them up behind the school. It was either like be a cool guy and beat your friend up or get beaten up. And come to think of it now, I would always choose to get beaten up. But at that time, I didn't. And for that, I feel the regret every day, at least at some point. That always reminds me to be kind or deal with consequences. One kid got bullied really bad. He even had to change schools. And I got friends with him before the 6th grade. I even went to his home. His mother made us cake. And the mother was really happy that this guy had a friend finally. Someone to play with. And what did I do? Can you guess? I did to him the same freaking things that other bullies did to him. And we were never friends again. Same with my other friend. His nickname was Cockroach because he basically wore the same clothes at home and school every day. Really awesome dude. Now he builds cars, used to be a train conductor. Just shit. I mean, and I was one of the guys who joined the beat them up. Was him versus 7 other guys, including me. Gives me a clump in my throat every time I think about it. But there was one incident where me initializing violence prevented a long-term torture towards me. There was one guy in the parallel class that saw a way to kind of bully me at recess. He pushed me around with his friends by his side. I knew that I had to do something, otherwise I would have had the whole parallel class picking on me. Now, like, one class wasn't enough. At some point on the same week, our paths crossed in the corridor staircase. When no one was around, I clenched my fist as I was walking by and said, "Hey," and I used all my might to hit him in the face. He fell down, started crying. I ran away, as I always did. Later, he had a black eye. I had to write an explanation letter to the principal, but he never picked on me again. But whoever you ask, it was always my fault, according to my teacher. Yeah, I just remembered that I tore apart my friend's jacket as well, so I had to pay for that as well. Funny times, eh? Somehow I managed to survive all those years. It wasn't all bad. There were times of joy as well. After the school, of course. I got my grades kind of in order, and bullying matured a bit. 7th grade. It was the time where girls came back from the summer break and had turned into voluptuous women. It was a time where you had to find clever ways to hide your erections, especially when you needed to go in front of the glass. Cargo pants did the trick for me. It was a time where internet became a thing, and we had this website called rate.ee, which was an Estonian version or a predecessor to Orkut and Facebook. Bullying took new forms, and when someone managed to take a horrible picture of you, they set your account up in rate.ee. First early cases of cyberbullying. So our generation invented it. Amazing. But school closed it down very soon. After all, your deformed, friendless face was amusing only the first week. Nowadays, people post their stupid faces on the internet all by themselves. At that time, who you were friends with, what you wore, and how you reacted to pressure determined your class in the hierarchy. Totally normal. Today is the same, but whatever phone you have, how many friends and likes you get, determines your position in the hierarchy. Since we now have the access to see more successful people to compare ourselves to, it takes a huge mental toll on everyone. We are constantly fed information that we're not good enough. Because only the 1%ers, the top echelon, right here somewhere, even higher I think, is what you perceive as normality. So not only are other people bullying you, you're bullying yourself. All this bullying is making me thirsty again. So the conclusion, is there a conclusion? There might be a conclusion. Bullying in whatever form is a lesson learned. You need to remember that bad times can turn into good times. Without one, you can't appreciate the other. But most importantly, don't be a dick to your friends, or you will be punished by a lifetime of regret. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like, smash that bell, and if you dare, subscribe as well. I'm SillyLlamaz, and thanks for watching. Till next time.